Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto. Hope you're having a good one. So let's dig into everything I covered in the Crypto Minute. It is pretty decent day outside. I'm running a little bit late today. Decided that I was going to do a later video, right? And so, yeah, the hands are ashy. Can't have that. France introduced something that I think is good, but yeah, let's get into it. It's basically it's called the Responsible Influence Certificate, and you have to take a 25 question exam, and you must get at least 75% of those questions correct. Now, what I'm finding to be funny is that let's suppose you pass the exam. Does that really mean that you know what you're talking about? No, not really. Does that mean you're a financial advisor? Definitely not. Definitely not. Does it mean that you've at least taken a good step toward being responsible in what you're saying? Maybe. Got to see the questions. But I do think that there are going to be a lot of people that are going to file for that because it will most likely help them grow their follower base. Think about it. I'm a certified responsible influencer. How does that sound compared to the person that's not? I think that would garner you some followers. So I'm going to watch out and see how that plays out because I find it to be interesting. You know, it's not. I don't know that it's going to be a hard exam. I don't know if it's a soft exam, but it is in place. And for now, it's only voluntary. Yeah, it's only voluntary right now. And I say right now because I could easily see that becoming like a thing. But then it's kind of like, well, there are financial advisors that are certified that suck at what they do. You know what I mean? Like, so what's the measure? What's the stick that they're using? Next up, yesterday I told you about FTX and how FTX is going to most likely offload a lot of digital assets, big money, billions. Hundreds of millions are tied up in just, they're not unlocked, right? They're currently locked. Hence, they have 75 bidders on the assets. Now, I want you to think about this. That means that at no one time, unless it's far in the future, that no one time can they dump all of those assets. And it makes sense that they would have 75 bidders because they probably want the money now, right? And those while those bidders would have to wait. It makes sense. So everybody freaking out and panicking, I think that's why there was a dip. And then we wound up rebounding to basically where we were, right? 25.8 or something like that. I think we should pay attention to news. I think we should pay attention, not just read the news, but understand the news. Understand what's going on. It's not in their best interest. And you know, even if none of the digital assets were locked, it would not be in their best interest to dump. Because as they're dumping, prices would drop, so their value would diminish. So it would make no sense, right? Just, you know, try to read things and see where they should be. You can use some common sense there. And that's really what I want to get across to people is no, don't just read the news, but gain an understanding of the news and try to remember that you've done research in the past and put all that together to create your timeline and help you create your idea. If you notice, sometimes I'll report to you, hey, I told you about this, X amount of time ago and blah, blah, blah. And here's another bit of news that goes along with that timeline. I do that on purpose. I don't do it just for you. I do it for me, right? Because if I can remember that I did a report way back, I will go to my notes. I will search them. I will find the notes. I'll read them. And then I'll take that, match it with the current news, put it together, and now I have a better and more clear picture. I'm asking you to do the same. Okay? It will help you over time. Basically, I'm sharing how I do research and how I do that research over time. It's not a moving window that I'm using. I'm building my research, right? I'm building upon it. So, for instance, Standard Chartered is deeper into crypto than people would think. Pay attention to this. They have a subsidiary, Zodia Custody. Zodia Custody is already certified to do business in the UK, in Ireland, and they have an application in Japan, I believe. Well, guess what? You don't need any licensing in Singapore, and guess who just opened up in Singapore? That's right, Zodia Custody. Now think about what they are. They're a storage company, a crypto storage company, a custody service. Now, that's Standard Chartered. I also told you last year about how Standard Chartered is involved with Project Guardian. Project Guardian is a massive project with the. Give me a moment. I want to name it properly. Let me look at my notes. With the financial institution, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, or MAS. Little article there. Yeah, I take all of my notes and I publish them every day. Just saying. When we launch Grow My Bag, these notes will be launched as articles and you'll be able to go in, read them, all that good stuff. You can even receive them as an email subscription service. We have a lot going on. But back to Custodia. To Custody, Zodia Custody. So when you look at them, Project Guardian is huge. They're working with the government and other financial institutions to test the tokenization of assets. Yeah, that's just a little bit big. It's just a little bit big. Just saying. Gary Gensler, in his immense knowledge, doubles down on his stance. And his stance was, I want to say this because it was a quote. Let's see, that's a MetaMask. We'll get into that in a second. Going to expect a meeting. He says, you get his stance from this one little phrase. Given this industry's wide-ranging non-compliance with the securities laws, blah, 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 blah. Never a mention of how many projects have tried, have inquired, have asked, have begged the SEC for clarity on how they can be regulatorily sound. Meaning, how can they legally operate in this country with a nod from the SEC? Gary Gensler runs around saying, oh, it's easy, it's easy, it's easy. Show me the step-by-step process. He has yet to produce that. This guy needs to go. He's not here to help businesses thrive. He's here to help them die. He really needs to go. Just go find another job called retirement. Go sit in that home. My brother was cracking jokes with me, and he sent me, I told him I hurt myself, and he says, I've got you, and he sent me an ad for an old folks home. That's what Gary should do. And Michael, I will get you back. PayPal is working with MetaMask to create an on-ramp, off-ramp for funds, USD. That I think is gonna be huge. I think it's gonna be huge. Something else that happened is it was reported that Coinbase is going to be leaving India. They're not, or it doesn't look like they are, even though they only have 50,000 users in a country that has over 1.4 billion people. They sent out an email. It was written poorly, and that's what happened. So it seems like they're not going to leave, maybe, possibly. It's been a mess over there for Coinbase, so I don't know what they're going to be doing. We'll have to see what goes on. But you know what we should do? We should get into the numbers. Let's bounce on over there. First, we hit the fear and greed index. We're at 30. Yesterday it was 40. Right? We're deep in fear. We're in deep fear. Huge fear. Look at that. All right. DeFi Llama, we're total value locked is 47, is 47 billion rather. Um, let's see at my chart. We're still, that dip, that big dip happened yesterday, and that was probably driven by mostly the news from FTX. That had to be the news because that's when the dip happened. And we've come and it's bounced right back up as people started to realize, there's a stipulation. There's a reason why there are bidders. If there are bidders, that means they have a bidding process. If they have a bidding process, that means it's most likely going to be an OTC transaction, over the counter. So stop stressing. It's different. It's definitely different. Let's take a look at the big picture over here. When you look at cryptos, ETH is above 1610. Happy to see it above 16,000. Bitcoin is above 26,000. Happy to see that. So if you bought on that dip, I was talking to Mona yesterday, and Mona was like, "Oh, so maybe I should be paying attention to Solana." Yeah, you should be paying attention to Solana. You should be paying attention to everything that FTX owns. Why? Because the whole industry took a dip. The whole industry took a dip. Look at Solana right here. Let's just key in on it. Right? It's up 3.87% since yesterday, since that noise hit. And it's slowly recovering. Right? So I'm sitting here and I'm just saying to myself, pretty interesting. Actually, it pretty much has recovered. Let's go back. Right here is the 11th. So you're pretty much right back to where you were yesterday. Solana is a darling. I don't care what people say. Solana is an industry darling. They have not had an outage in a really long time. Doesn't mean that one is definitely going to come. Doesn't mean that one isn't going to come. But they've been up for a while, and that's what's big. All right. If you want to look at the numbers across the big board, in letters and numbers, so you can see it on a table. Here you go. Now I'm talking about Solana, and I'm talking about Solana for one main reason. Look at this. They are up Solana is up 84.5% year to date. So if you bought on 1/1, you're up 84%, 84.5%. Can't be mad about that. That means it is a darling. Pay attention. Look at this. Bitcoin is only up 57%. Ethereum only 34%. XRP up only 41%. That makes Solana an industry darling, period. Say what you want. Because I told you before, I'm not a huge fan because I'm not a huge fan of the technology. I do like the project. I'm not a huge fan of the technology because they haven't proven to me that they are solid yet. But top 10 consistently. Okay? This is what I'm paying attention to. And then you have poor little Polygon. Yes, I still believe in the project. I still believe in everything that they're doing. Fast network. When I've tested it, it's been crazy, crazy fast. I can definitely see it being adopted in stores and retail outlets. I can definitely see that. I can see XRP. They're not going to do that with Bitcoin. I don't know why people think, even with the Lightning Network, it's fast. I'll give it to that. It's fast. But is that going to be in a retail store? I'm going to want something that's going to move my money like dumb fast. So I'm looking at XRP. I'm looking at Polygon. I'm looking at Ethereum. I'm looking at other things. I'm looking at XLM. These are platforms that are moving assets fast. And unlike credit cards, where there's a 90 to 120 day lag, yes, you pay now, and the company receives that money in 3 days, give or take. But that money still isn't theirs for another 90, 120 days because the person that bought whatever it is that they bought can still say, hey, no, I don't like it. And that they take the money away. And they don't take the money away, less the credit card payment. They take all of it away, which means that the vendor is actually out of money, out of pocket. It doesn't zero out. They go negative on that transaction. And they have to wait until you know that money is theirs. That's the whole process. There's a lot more detail to it, but basically that's it. With crypto, as soon as that transaction happens, that's it. It's over. Here's the customer. Here's the vendor. Vendor receives the money. Customer gets the goods. Done. my daughter's leaving for work and my puppy is not pleased about it. But that's where you are right now. Anyway, that's Eddie J on crypto for today. If you like what I'm doing, I greatly appreciate you dropping a note, letting me know. If you don't like what I'm doing, do me a favor, drop me a note, let me know how I can get better. I asked this question, and I'm going to try to ask this question every day because all I want to do is get better. Anyway, I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.